Okay, this is Joseph Reynoso with my wife Lindsay Reynoso, and this is week 7 video role play for Psychology 301. And this week is going to be focusing on the use of hunches and challenges. And the topic is going to be where we both see ourselves and different aspects of our lives in between now and the next 10 years. So we're going to start, and Lindsay, you're going to be the client, and I'm going to be the counselor, and you're going to be talking a little bit about where you see some different parts of your life in the next 10 years.
Um, I would say 10 years from now, wow, Rebecca will be 19
Mm-hmm.
and out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and our son will be 10. And
I just wonder what it would be like with her being, basically at the age where she's going off to college, and him being right in the thick middle of,
mhm,
you know, uh, basically elementary school.
right, fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly more kids. Um, and I would imagine that we would be living in Oregon. I'm not sure. There's a possibility at that point that we could be on the East Coast. Um,
Right, that's another thing. You know, it would be interesting the idea of not necessarily having to remain in Oregon, and then other things come into play. But that's just an interesting idea.
hmm And I don't know, just family. I can't imagine what kind of job I would have if I would still be working or not.
Can you picture in the future not living in Oregon?
hmm I can. I think it would be nice to be closer to your family, and then
Hmm.
having them being a part of our family's life.
Hmm.
Um, Especially around that time, yeah, that Rebecca's older and out of the house, that we would move our family. I could see it happening.
I wonder what it would be like in a new place, new state. Probably come along with new career moves.
For sure.
What do you think about your career going forward?
I have no idea. Um, to be honest, I don't even know what I'm doing the next 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know.
Can you picture not working and staying at home?
Yes, maybe. I don't know. I think maybe having something part time. I mean, just having one kid at home.
Hmm.
I don't know.
What do you think it would? What would play into it, like finances?
Finances, and I think the age of the kids too. Like the older they get, maybe going back
Hmm.
to work.
What do you think about where we're living? How do you see? How would you imagine your living situation? Because versus
hmm
where we are now in 10 years.
Um, I can see us in a house a lot bigger. Um, I guess in the Salem area still, if we were still around this area, um, and not on the East Coast. Just because I think we both like this area. It's not too big. We don't want to move back to Portland. Um, Possibly on the coast, we had mentioned
Yeah,
before.
it'd be an interesting idea to contemplate what it would be like living here in Oregon, but a different part, like the coast.
hmm Definitely not south. Definitely not east.
Hmm.
Not Portland again.
Hmm.
But this area, or on the coast, I could see happening.
And then what do you think about like our routine, health and wellness, fitness? How do you see now compared to in 10 years? What do you envision?
We'll be doing a lot more. We're gonna have probably more than one kid. A lot of more activities for them, sports, things like that.
Okay, so we go ahead and wrap up that piece. Um, the basic focus of that interaction was for you to be contemplating and kind of envisioning out loud where you see yourself in 10 years in some different areas, and me as the counselor trying to use challenges whenever appropriately, or I think I use more hunches. And the hunches are kind of like asking questions. I feel like both of them, are both steering the client in a certain direction and opening a certain door that then they choose to walk through or not, but then kind of commit to explaining why or why not. So in reflecting about that, I felt like I kept trying to say it would be interesting to imagine living on the coast, or it'd be interesting to imagine not living in New Jersey, or it'd be interesting when contemplating what it would be like when Rebecca is 19, probably leaving the house, going to college, and to have our son only be 10, and then possibly what it would be like to have another kid also in the mix. So that's how I tried to use the hunches. The challenges, I think when I asked, can you picture yourself not going back to work? Or can you picture moving out of the state? I think that's when it was like, that's more of a challenge because it makes you try to steer you in a direction where you're going to commit to, is that something that is a viable, feasible option? Or is that something that is not on the plate when you take a further consideration? So how did it feel with me just trying to use hunches and challenges?
It moved it right along, and it helped me ask myself those questions.
Okay.
Try to get there.
Okay, so now let's reverse the roles, and you try to use hunches and challenges whenever appropriately, and I'll go ahead and just talk about some of the things what I see for the future in 10 years. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin. When I think about a 10-year window, I think about a lot of different areas of my life. I think about physical fitness always because, recently with getting diagnosed with diabetes, that's a new thing on the headlines, and I'm just turned 34 years old. So, in 10 years I'll be 44. I want to be thinking about health and being health conscious sooner, not later. So I feel like now is already getting a late start, obviously, because the way that I got diagnosed with diabetes, we didn't know what was going on. So, I already feel like I'm behind the ball game. So for the next 10 years going forward, I definitely feel like I want to maximize the time and make up for lost time if possible, and really focus and concentrate on stepping up the physical fitness, the diet, the routine, and get everything structured in a way where it's no problem at all just to follow the routine and always be making gains.
And what can you see yourself doing with the family and stuff around that 10-year period?
Well, that's the same thing. It's very exciting to think about that because we know that Rebecca will be basically, becoming an adult, and we know that we have our soon-to-come newborn son that's going to be 10 years old. So we know that, and we may have more kids. So we know that it's going to be different than it is now, and I think about it all the time because it's all about the preparation and the thinking about it and the taking the steps to ensure that we're very happy on many different levels at that time. So we want to feel that from now till then that we've made very good financial judgments and decisions. We want to feel that we're putting away for the future of all these kids. We want to feel like we're moving in the right direction towards buying a home. That's a big thing with our savings. So I think about that when and that the financial thoughts then lead me to open the door to career. So I'm always thinking about career and always trying to move forward. Now graduating and seeing what doors will open, our options with continuing education, how that plays into career. So we've talked about different possibilities and what it will look like. And right now I'm very happy where I'm at, and the idea of growing roots there is a very good idea with the state and the whole entire system. But then we think about 10 years down the road with career, 44 years old, right, kind of in the prime of my career.
Right.
You almost, you can't really be thinking retirement. So that doesn't play into it. Retirement would be like thinking in a 25 to 30 year window. But with the 10 year, it's about, okay, where have I gotten in my career, and am I happy with where I'm at as the years progress? Are the opportunities for advancement, presenting? Am I seizing those opportunities, and am I gaining those, those new horizons? So that's all going to play into it on the career part of it. Like we had mentioned before, there's the where we live, which somewhat plays into where I work too. Obviously, if I'm working in the same place, then we'll be living in this area. And the nice thing about it is that we do like this Salem area. So we've identified there's some other areas like the coast that we also like too. So we have options for the future. But again, maybe we'll exercise some of those options depending on career moves and depending ultimately on when we get to a further window out, a retirement stage. And then obviously at that time, moving wouldn't be restricted by where I'm working. So those are just some options. But I know that kind of going back to the family piece, I'm excited about where we'll be in 10 years. I picture myself, coaching sports with our newborn son, who now is going to be 10. Kind of right in the prime there for getting involved in activities. So we want to be involved, and I picture that, and that's something different that's not going on right now. So I'd say that basically paints a good picture for me of different aspects of where I want to be in 10 years. So let's go ahead and wrap that portion up and now reflect on my expounding on the next 10 years. What did it feel like for you?
It went smooth. I just feel like I didn't interject as much as I could have, but
Good.
that's it.
I think in the beginning you were using some hunches, and I don't really think that you used any challenges, but the point of this whole interaction is to be able to identify what that looks like, what was there or what wasn't there. So that's what I think. I think also I talk fast and I don't mind going on, so I may not have been also allowing you to interject. But there were a couple of times in the beginning there when I thought you were using the hunches and what would it be like to do this or that, and then opening the floor for me to explore those options. Like you redirected me back to the family side of it when I was on the career side. So I think that you effectively used that. And that'll wrap up the week 7 video. Thank you.